And going back to the top story, the Uttarakhand Global Investors Summit. Joining me is Dr. Charan Singh. Dr. Singh is an economist and the CEO of EGROW. Dr. Singh, welcome to DD India News Hub. Now, before we delve into the specifics of the summit and the macroeconomic issues, let me begin by asking you, Dr. Singh, if you could, help our viewers understand some fundamental issues here. Would a state such as Uttarakhand have special investment needs given its geography, topography, and weather?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the Prime Minister spent a good amount of time in explaining that because, yes, there's a Char Dham Yatra which can be there around it. But given the situation that is there in Uttarakhand, it's all green, there's lots of culture, there is nature. And I think given this richness that it has, the Prime Minister has rightly said that we can bring in tourism of a very unique quality. You could have the heritage. You have the Char Dham. You could bring in the nature, all very green, and the local culture that is so rich. So certainly the state of Uttarakhand is special. And I thought he also made a very special statement today. I was very impressed when he said, "Pahad ki jawani aur pahad ka pani rukte nahi, aur pahad ko fayda nahi dete hain." But I felt that he made a point that he is trying to change, and he's going to see that the youth of this hilly state and the water of the hilly state works for the betterment of the hilly state. I thought that was very impressive, what he said. And the other thing, of course, when it is so beautiful a state and so much of richness it has, and therefore he said that there's going to be a rail line, there's going to be a helipad and heli services up there. So all this would need investment and infrastructure.
Absolutely.
And I think he's doing it very right. If the Swiss Alps can develop so well, why not Uttarakhand?
So which brings me to my next question to you. Again, a basic fundamental question, Dr. Singh. What types of industry would do well in Uttarakhand, or what types of investments might Uttarakhand want? You refer to tourism. Is there scope for, say, energy, infrastructure, health, and so on?
Absolutely, again. Yes, very true. Please also remember he spoke about the local artisans, and he was speaking and giving example of the earthen pots and earthen vessels, which can do very well. And he spoke about the Himalaya House brand, which will take care of the local products there and make it dear to the rest of the world. And he mentioned that in rest of the world, things made out of hand, they play a very important role and they help in a big way and they sell at very high prices. One of the things that he mentioned, and I thought that was very encouraging, was that, look, when we talk of a protein-rich diet, India itself has so many lentils and we import so much worth of lentils from outside. He said India has so much of lentils, so much of millets, and we can all use it within the country. And I myself think that small agro-processing investment, small MSMEs, if they're able to tap the local product, and they're able to use it and produce it in beautiful envelopes with little legends written on top of it, the way he was mentioning, that these are little envelopes on it is written it's protein rich, and the Indians start eating it. And then when you work in a place like Dehradun, it's so rich, the herbs are there, and there are natural things there, natural springs up there. I think this local work can be really used, local product can be used, local produce in terms of small products.
Indeed.
They can help to market and become really good exportable items. That's what the world looks for, and and moreover, I would like to mention one point. The global view is that organic food is always healthy. And I think if you are talking of organic food, the Himalaya brand would probably be the most organic food.
Absolutely.
Because in the hilly areas, yet not being exploited by fertilizers. So I think that is important. So in a nutshell, I would like to say while tourism is important, which he spoke, and he also spoke about theme-based tourism, which I really like the idea. When you talk of a theme-based tourism, you are basically thinking in terms of heritage also. And there are temples and there are temples of different religions up there. You could also be thinking in terms of nature, and he spoke about water sports. All that he's mentioning, I think, is very interesting. And then he summed it up by saying, why can't it become a destination wedding place. I thought he's trying to develop the whole of Uttarakhand and he's trying to give it an impetus by looking at various aspects. So that would need some more infrastructure to be built if it has to become a destination wedding spot.
Indeed. Dr. Singh, let us now talk a bit, if you will, about Uttarakhand from a local perspective. The locals would be wondering, what's in it for me? Now, in terms of jobs, for instance, or skilling the young population, the young working population, is there scope for doing more? Or think this will have spin-offs, going forward?
Absolutely. Again, now look, the Prime Minister always keeps thinking, I've seen it with his vast experience in Gujarat as a CM and now for 10 years as a PM. I think he's always thinking in terms of how to help the poor, how to help the farmer, how to help the downtrodden, and how to help the women. I think this is the way he thinks and this is the way he makes his policies.
Right.
And he also was mentioning today that, I'm making policies very transparently. It's for the people to take benefit and reap results out of it. So now, one more thing which he mentioned, and that will put the puzzle together. He said that, look, we always have been talking about aspirational districts. I'm thinking of aspirational blocks. And he said for a long time, India thought that the villages on the borders need to be not to be really worked upon because they could be risky. Whereas I'm saying no, work on the villages on the border, on the outskirts, because they could also have lots of potential. Now, keeping all these things together, you can immediately imagine when he speaks about tourism or local industry or MSMEs or local products, what he's talking about, the Himalaya brand. The point then is that it has repercussions and it has forward backward linkages. If you are going to be having tourism, minimum investment is required for an individual, but then you can become tour guides, you will have you can provide local transport, you can have local hospitality, local hotels can be done. And all this then plays a role in creating employment and not a substantial expenditure as far as the individual is concerned. Once the state has laid down the infrastructure, and once the airport has been brought in, which he was mentioning, and the rail links have been brought in and the helipads are done, and he was saying that the state government, and I think he's going to help in setting up a complete network of helipads in the state. So connectivity becomes very, very important, something which he stressed. So with this, employment opportunities would happen very fast. And when I told you that he thinks in terms of a poor or downtrodden or weak or a farmer, he was speaking that he still has a dream of making 2 lakh women Lakhpati, 2 crore women Lakhpati. Right. So then he says he's going to give them means and opportunities to develop. So that means the development through the Himalaya brand model is percolating down into the people, be it youth, be it farmers, and be it women. So obviously for the local people, there's lots of opportunities through each of the things, through tourism, also through products that they will make and export and the brand that they will create.
And finally, Dr. Singh, we've spoken about Uttarakhand state, we've spoken about what's in it for the locals. Let's spare a thought also for the people who are willing to, or who might be willing to invest in that state. The investors summit was about global investors. So I have to ask you this, in terms of, you refer to policy, in terms of policy framework, support or incentives, because investors like predictability. Can we expect, or can they expect, policy frameworks to be very robust going forward in terms of supporting their endeavors and investments?
Yeah, I would like to mention 3-4 aspects.
Sure.
Here. The first one is the whole country is now having a network of infrastructure laid out. You have seen the roads, the airports, and the Prime Minister spoke about Hawai Chappal to Hawai Jahaz. So aspirations are rising. On one hand, the infrastructure has been laid out. On the other, people have started looking that there are opportunities for them and therefore aspirations are rising across, and everybody wants to achieve more and more, and everybody has a feeling I can do it. Now, for doing it, then one always worries and wonders whether the policy will be stable.
Right.
The results that have just come out in the three states, the thumping majority of the ruling party, clearly shows that people are really looking forward to a stable government,
Right.
a government which delivers, a government which answers their aspirations. So the government is there, there is stability, and of course, in
Right.
Uttarakhand, you have the same party in power, which is at the center. So certainly, the double engine, which he generally mentions, is showing results. I also have a feeling that the amount of confidence that people have started having in policies, that they are stable and they are here to stay, whatever be the political cycle the country has, the
Right.
election mode, whatever said and done. But one thing is emerging very clearly, that the positivity which is pervading all over the country, the business opportunities that are emerging with the infrastructure which is laid down, the thought process that is emerging with
Right.
state-specific policies
Indeed.
and state-specific products, that clearly shows that there is stability, and therefore the investors are always scared of uncertainty. India as a whole has shown fiscal
Right.
and monetary policy which is very stable. India as a whole has shown that the rupee is pretty stable
Indeed.
and inflation is reasonably low. On one hand, the economic fundamentals are strong.
Right.
It is the fastest growing economy in the world today at 7.6%, much above the projected
Right.
growth. Not only India, IMF World Bank is saying it. Over and above it, there is a political stability into the country, which is also very, very strong. And therefore, I
Right.
think the global investors would have total confidence in patronizing the growth pattern
Right.
which is being visualized for the state.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Dr. Charan Singh, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.